Well, good evening, good night, everyone. My name is Saray Martinez. I am the organizer for Safe Ag, Safe Schools. It's a local coalition for the works to protect our kids and their communities from pesticide exposure. We have members that are union leaders, teachers, community members, activists, you name it, retired nurses, retired teachers. And one of the things that we're doing, especially now, and the reason why I'm here is because I know you all have a resolution that you're voting this night. And I thank Trustee Rocha for bringing it to attention, but also all the trustees that I know have been in the fight against pesticides in the past. In this, even though this is a great step to start the conversation and collaborate, as an agriculture community in Salinas, we are exposed to pesticide drift from agriculture, and that is, I know, outside the jurisdiction of the board, but you can do something within your district jurisdiction, within your grounds. And I'm here again to support and to urge to vote and to move forward with this adoption of this resolution, because it's an excellent step and the first step to continue working together. But I do urge you, and I hope that you consider going a step above by, considering a ban in the Roundup. As you can see, there's been a couple, and there's been in the news a lot. 2 cities in the region have suspended the use in city property, Watsonville and Greenfield. We also have school districts that have done it, Pajaro Unified School District, and also Salinas City Elementary did it last year. So I know that there's a lot of that momentum happening. We hope that you take this step. And again, we thank you for bringing it up to discussion, and we hope that, again, you support this resolution. So thank you all.
Thank you, board, for your time. I'm a member of Safe Ag, Safe Schools, and I'm also a teacher in the Salinas Union High School District. And we've been fighting for 1 mile buffer zones around our schools. 2 years ago, the state was able to finally give us 1/4 of a mile, which is still not enough with drift. In 2005, I want to say, Humboldt State did a report where they showed a drift cloud coming over Everett Alvarez, sending a lot of people to the hospital. It's called Mapping a Menace. And in that article, it brought up a lot of issues, not only from me, but from my students in the AVID programs. And a lot of my students have been involved with Safe Ag, Safe Schools doing community service. They've advocated up in Sacramento. They've actually gone into the fields of medicine. They've worked with Chamaco studies. And this resolution that you're bringing before is very important to me as a teacher in our school district. You will be protecting not only my students, our staff, but as well as our community. You're taking a stand that goes a little bit further with notification, working with the Monterey County Ag Commissioner to provide proper reporting. If you go up to Santa Cruz, they have immediate reporting on when pesticides are used. I'm not sure who in the district has been trained to access the data, but Sarai has taught us how to access that data. The report for Everett Alvarez is a stapled stack of all these Prop 65 carcinogenic pesticides that are used throughout the year right across our school site. And if we can do stuff to protect our students from what we use locally on our campus, that would bring, more protections to our students. We see a rise in students with learning disabilities. The Chamaco study and the UC Berkeley study did case studies in our students that are currently 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds coming to our school district. And these students, through the Chamaco studies, which are based at Natividad Hospital, they're also members of Safe Ag, Safe Schools. And even though their information is private, these students are starting to talk about the issues because they know they're a part of this study. And so I really encourage the board to look at the actions that you'll be taking on that resolution, because it also talks about organic education and creating organic programs through our ag program. So let's be the leaders, let's be the innovators in developing programs where we start a new generation to find sustainable alternatives to growing our current agriculture. Let's stop the use of brain harming herbicides that are being used in our facilities. We went around to different plant managers and data. We need to start gathering that data of what's being used. Thank you.
Good evening, my name's Dominic Gers. I'm here on behalf of myself. So, 47 years ago when this meeting started, I'm sure I had better. Come on, Steve, it's been a long night. And that's why I'm just going to be really brief. I'm only here on two things. Number one, I'm really excited to see the possibility of live streaming brought to these proceedings, simply because few people have now 4 hours, 5, whatever hours we've been here to wait for items to come up, and certainly it's beneficial to people to be able to look back and just find that one specific item that they might be interested in to follow up on, and it's not always convenient to be here for multiple hours to find such a thing. And also in terms of the resolution on pesticides, it's much needed. Certainly it's not only to be recognized about how different things in the community interact and how they can have an effect on things like childhood development, on educational needs, but certainly the need for collaboration, for there to be amongst different branches of government, whether they be a county ag commissioner and a school board, because certainly there are things that need to be talked about. And so I'll be brief. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on this subject. I'm a member of SAS and a community member and a parent, and I've been doing advocacy with SAS now for a couple of years. And I want to urge you to vote yes on this resolution. I just have to say, as a child of an educator, and I got my father during the summer, I like being in this building. I feel like I've come home. But I was so impressed with the presentation. 7 out of 10 kids go to college in Salinas. I cannot believe that. That is amazing. And the special ed, back in the draconian days, nothing, no help for kids that had special needs. And we really need a good, strong department there, because the pesticides are dumbing down our kids. We can almost look at this as being environmental racism. I struck over here at Hartnell when we had the teachers, and the Salinas teachers were getting paid the least in the state of California. We have great schools, and there's been word about putting them in the middle of fields, but in Salinas, it's all in the middle of the fields. We got fields everywhere. But when 500 pounds of chlorpyrifos mean a 2.2 drop in educational and IQ, we have the Chumacos, we have the UC Davis, the UCLA study has just come out and said 40% of the ag commissioners are not looking for alternatives. Roundup has so many suits, they don't know what to do with. And Roundup, a simple step to take Roundup off the school grounds, because kids, they roll around. You know, they don't just walk in straight lines, they're very active and they're part of their environment. So getting Roundup out of the schools, I think, to listen to the Greenfield mayor when he said, yes, it's going to cost us a little bit more money, but just like your teacher of the year said, it's all about the kids. So we have to think of the kids. These pesticides are very powerful and they're dangerous. Bush and Clinton did a bipartisan Clean Air and Water Act, said these 40 chemicals are detrimental to young children's developing bodies, and they were held up in court by, the EPA was held up in court by the chemical companies and the farmers. So as educators, people who take time with kids, we have to really look at the whole picture and communicate a system of warning. Thank you.
Hi, Wes White, Salinas resident, community enthusiast at large. Talking about live streaming, you know, I've videoed a couple of meetings so far, and I'm really pleased to see it on the agenda. I hope it passes. And the SAS thing with the that resolution, make sure you ban it, please. Ban use of Roundup, please. You know, Salinas City already did that. I'm surprised it's not more similar to that. And the teacher pay thing. Give them a fair contract, please.
Resolution 1980, agricultural pesticides. Questions or concerns? Yes, sir.
It's a great resolution, finally. I think I put in a request in February, and we're going back and forth to find about it. I put the request back in February, and finally, after working with Superintendent Anna, we finally got it. And thank you to Saraita and Ana Barrera, who met with me to work on this. I really like it. However, I'd like it to have a little bit more teeth. And so in one of the last further resolve, it says the Salinas Union High School District shall examine its own practices regarding the use of toxic chemicals on school grounds and will seek to reduce or discontinue the use of such harmful chemicals. I'd like to propose that we change it to be it further resolved that the Salinas Union High School District shall examine its own practices regarding the use of toxic chemicals on school grounds by discontinuing the use of all Prop 65 chemicals in district grounds and directing staff to work on an integrated pest management policy to establish non-toxic alternatives. Send that to me in a request.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have anything to say, sir?
This is for Trustee Rocha. First, thank you for doing that, and thank you very much, because I think it's it's needed where we work, where we live, where we work, and where our kids are at. What I was going to ask you, and this is just again, if I go too much into the weeds, let me know and I'll stop. Okay,
I will.
But what I want to know is would it be possible for you, seeing you've got a lot of energy into this, to maybe get some of our state legislators here, maybe to do a presentation, where you reach out to them and maybe have them come in and and let us know what they're doing at that level, or even I don't know who would take care of us at a federal level, but to come in and tell us what they're doing, or maybe the ag commissioner, people such as that, where you could reach out to them, on behalf of us, to just address this and see what goes on.
Well, we have Safe Schools who's working on it. They could probably present on what's going on since they are knowledgeable.
So, and you want to direct that to me?
Well, yeah, I understand. I'm asking you also, he did a lot of work into this. I understand that, but I'm just asking him, if if that's something, you're out there doing all this work. Yeah.
I have a question, more of a comment and then a question. The comment is that several years ago, our board, we passed a resolution for the protesting the use of methyl bromide, which is a pesticide or a fumigant that's used for strawberries, because many of the strawberry fields are located near our schools, and it also contributes to the drift that you were talking about. And so in order to do that, when I submitted it, I went online and I looked at a lot of different resolutions from a lot of other districts that I knew of at the time, and that might be a good way to sit down, because I'm not sure what I don't remember seeing anything about the elimination of. Well, we need to say specifically to eliminate the use of Roundup.
Well, we don't actually have a basic use like that.
Well, if we do use it,
It would be under what we say.
It would be under Prop 65 and includes Roundup on all.
yeah, whatever the list says, but I totally agree that we need to do it. And does anybody want to say?
I'd just like to add to it that that's a great opportunity to bring it back as a resolution, but also changing the language, and I think we can invite our assembly member, which is Robert Rivas, to come and do a presentation in regards to the pesticides or whatever they're using, just to get a feedback and adopt the resolution.
Any more? So we're going to see this move forward?
For discussion.
Very good.